I am Dianna Agron, and you're watching Lifeminute TV.
So Alex, our brilliant director, he sent me the script about 2 months after, in my mind, I had promised myself that if an opportunity arose to do a father-daughter piece such as this one, that I wanted it and was ready, because I've experienced just a very long and interesting journey with my own father and his health, and how that has expressed itself throughout our lives. And so 2 months later the script comes, and it's exactly what I was kind of asking for without knowing too specifically. And I just had this beautiful conversation with Alex about his own personal truths and why this film was important to him. We immediately desired, hoped for, wished that Thomas would read it and engage, and he did. And we started this really beautiful journey where for 8 months prior to filming, we would get together and, well, not physically, we would chat on the phone for hours about these characters and what their worlds were and what their personal truths were and what we were going to bring to set. Because what Alex does really beautifully in his films is, the script is the script, and that's, you could shoot it exactly as is, but he loves improvisation. So we really wanted to make sure that we knew how big the worlds could be for our characters, what we had in our grab bags. And that preparation was so helpful and so beautiful, because by the time we got to Oregon, we only shot this film for 16 days. So we really had to be ready. There was no time to spare. And it did feel, speaking for myself personally, that we were so ready to explore these worlds and what reconnection would feel like for a father-daughter duo who hadn't seen each other for 10 years, what that was going to be like, and what the barriers to entry would be, how they could find each other in those moments, what the push-pull power dynamics would be scene by scene, because obviously it wasn't going to be easy. 10 years is a very long time, and getting to know each other again with the outcome that both of us kind of wanted as characters, which there's so many different variables, and that was going to be a complicated journey.
It was the opportunity, diametric to Dianna playing the daughter, me playing the father. It was an opportunity to explore a relationship with a daughter, and I do have two daughters that are young. They're still pretty young, but it's like the life of the mind and the imagination of, if I'd had a daughter at the age that I would have been at, and which I was ridiculously ill-equipped to have any kids then. But if I had, then going forward and essentially leaving her behind, which to me is an unforgivable and unthinkable event. But to leave her behind as a relatively, not as a girl, but as a very young, probably very inexperienced young woman, and then suddenly this presence is dropped upon me where she is no longer that person. She now is a very independent, successful, married, other things to be learned about her, woman, and a very almost fiercely independent thinking, and is demanding answers. And so, or demanding not so much answers, but demanding a revitalization of this thing that I ran away from, this dynamic that I ran away from 10 years earlier. And as Dianna said, or as you stated, antagonistic or defiant, but then there are moments of shared, whatever amusement, bemusement, or just enjoying each other's personalities, and finding that relationship anew, and then going forward with that relationship now it's an unremovable part of Lloyd's life, his emotional reality going forward.
I think this one was unique in the fact that we had so much prep time and could spend that time getting to know each other and really talking in depth about what these characters' worlds were while they were together, while they were apart, the goals and things that we were hoping to achieve while we were exploring this on set. That time was so valuable to me, and I haven't always experienced the want or need to spend that amount of time, but this as a two-hander, which was, these characters, the world, it was going to be a lot of emotional exploration, and that I think did require the work and benefited from the work immeasurably. I can't imagine not having had that time to prep for this role, and I don't think we would have succeeded in the way that I think we succeeded as characters and did them service, because I do think that fabric is woven into our film.
For me, yes, it's like in the 8 months of discussing it and starting to live the characters through Dianna's voice, through my voice, through Alex's voice, but just all of it being sonic and not visual. But it was like in our prep before we got to Oregon, there were no borders. We were free to roam. Dianna talking about her relationships and her personal life and everything that she wanted to bring into Maggie's life. Me doing the same, Alex doing the same. But then whenever we got there, and I think it was Orson Welles said that, art without boundaries is not art at all. And so suddenly, with a 16-day schedule, boom, we had these very defined borders, that we had all of those stories and all of that life and all of that emotion and all of that, everything that was funny, the dynamics that we were creating and our imaginations coming together, and all of it being so combustible. Then when we were shooting it, we had to figure out how to contain the combustion, but at the same time give it oxygen and let it, rage. And it like I said, it was sort of diametric or whatever, anti-polar, but it felt like it worked. And I can't imagine, especially all the conversation. And then whenever I got there, it's like I didn't know Maggie, but suddenly it was I needed Maggie. And it's, I can't imagine it. I could never imagine going forward, and especially after seeing the film, that it being anyone other than Dianna, because it's like I said, if I had a daughter, at that age, I would be so, it would be such a reward, and it would be to have somebody like, how Dianna played Maggie. That would be such an abundant treasure to have when at Lloyd's age, and to come into his isolation.
Yeah, I just finished a movie in Austin, and I'm doing this miniseries down in Mexico, and Thomas is working in New Orleans.
What's crazy is that she just finished a movie in Austin. The last thing I did was in Austin. Dianna was born in Savannah, Georgia, and my daughter is starting college in Savannah in the fall. Well, she's shooting in beautiful Baja, Mexico. I am presently in a lightning and thunderstorm in New Orleans, Louisiana. Although New Orleans has its own, beautiful character and uniqueness. We just go driving around southern Louisiana, and Yeah, my significant other, Miriam, she just is demanding to see an alligator. She's like, I'm not gonna believe they're here until I see one.
Yeah.
No, we haven't seen one. We haven't seen one.
Yeah, me, music and nature, I can't get enough. If I can indulge in anything sonic is so special to me, which is something I love in New Orleans. There's music on every street corner, practically.